Let's just start. October 12th, right? It always feels weird. Kirk kind of mentioned this when he was saying, oh, Dave texted me. I forgot he's my producer. Literally leave on Friday, then don't talk to somebody till Tuesday. It feels weird. I really won't get used to that. So it's, actually we did talk on Saturday because of the Justin thing. So, today's show, obviously I can do the wrap up, but today's show, we did talk about, Justin for a little bit, even though people already saw what kind of went on social media. Justin did his goodbye tweet, which by the way was a fucking monster. We didn't say that on the show. Holy shit. Justin with a million likes on Twitter. Jerry Callen would be proud as a big like guy. Holy shit. That thing exploded, but you can't replace Justin Trudell. You just can't. We talked about it a little bit on the show. We're going to have to find some new interns. We put the call out so you can reach out to me, DM, email, whatever. And we'll probably do something formal through Barstool with some kind of internship post as well. But shit, how do you find the next Justin? It's gonna be a tough one to find. I'll tell you that much. So if you know anybody, or if you listen to the show, or know somebody looking for radio, podcasting, whatever type of experience, this kind of world, let us know. Reach out to us because we got to find somebody. Kirk does not want to do kind of like the intern American Idol type situation. So he doesn't want these people parading around the studio and him picking, oh, nope, we're just going to have to trial and error. We'll just see what we come up with here. But I just know we're never going to find the next Justin because holy shit, he was one of a kind and he is the best. So wish him all the best. Obviously, I talked to him on Saturday. I think we kind of all just said the same thing. He just, kind of said it was time to move on to, kind of reiterated some of the things that Kirk was mentioning last week. But I'm happy for him. I think it'll be a good thing. And I think... and I put it in my tweet. I mean, I see no issue whatsoever if he wanted to work in radio or podcasting. I mentioned this on the show. This show is just different. It's just built different than every other podcast out there. Most other podcasts or producers aren't talking as much on the show and things like that. There's no kind of outside world, and there's not if it comes down to producing, and obviously I think Justin can do a lot more than just that, but I was just from a technical standpoint of producing a show, helping execute it, helping plan it out, content, all that stuff. And I'm not just trying to put him over. He is 100% able to pull that off. So I think anybody who can grab somebody who understands that world, because I've said this in the past before, how we always said if Jerry needed a producer, they're calling people that Kirk's worked with, or vice versa, or whatever. It's a different beast. Podcasting is kind of like this DIY style where you got to know what to use technically or whatever. That I think when you go from podcasting to radio, it's almost easier because you kind of have that mentality of all right, I know how to work with the different technology. I have a bunch of different use cases in my brain. It just kind of makes sense because they have all these resources. So whether it be radio, or if we went back to podcasting, he has definitely all the tools. So Justin, we wish you the best. I know he's not going to go anywhere. We'll be hearing from him. We'll see him. We'll certainly be seeing him around and all that stuff. So other topics that came up on today's show, obviously we had to talk about the two big ones, which were John Cusack versus White Sox Dave, and then obviously the John Gruden news. Both those stories came up. It's not really, I guess by the time we got to it, we didn't spend that much time on the White Sox Dave, John Cusack thing. There's not too much to it. John Cusack just kind of turned into an asshole. I mean, he turned into what kind of appeared like playful banter on, I think that was Saturday night at this point, turned into just being a fucking dick. I mean, dick on Twitter, playing the typical Barstool Sports storylines from the Deadspins of the world. It is nonsense. I went back and was trying to listen to old interviews with John Cusack, see if he said anything stupid. What a fucking bore of an individual. So unless you're unless you're a big Say Anything fan or some shit, he's just a fucking bore. Total top to bottom. And I agree with White Sox Dave. Kirk did as well. I'm sure Mike did. It's pick your fucking team, for Christ's sake. If there's two teams, pick a side. I've never once met anybody who was a Yankees fan and then also a Mets fan. Maybe internally you're kind of oh yeah, I hope the Mets win because the Yankees have been eliminated. But you're not switching. You're not going buy a new hat or anything like that and then getting tickets to the game and really, I don't know. It's just, it definitely, I don't blame White Sox Dave whatsoever for kind of starting shit. And then I saw this guy who has a Substack newsletter who was bitching and moaning about it too, and even using buzzwords they called John Cusack a pink hat, which is a misogynistic term, and all. It's what the fuck? Just get over yourself. So that either way, everybody's on team White Sox Dave on that one, and John Cusack just sucks. He's a bore. Sorry, but he did date a lot of fucking hot chicks. If Kirk is right about that, I listened to the Howard Stern interview with him, and he denied, which is probably just a lie, but if he fucking dated Jennifer Love Hewitt, I'm gonna be fucking pissed. She's my number one of all time. if he got Jennifer Love Hewitt, I'm fucking furious about that because he just sucks and she's the best, top to bottom. She's the best. But I do know he was with Nev Campbell for 4 to 5 years. But and then we touched on the John Gruden thing, which John Gruden resigns after basically sending out emails containing kind of language that's homophobic and racist to a former colleague of his who was working for the Washington football team, I believe the Washington Redskins at the time. And just because they were engulfed in this workplace investigation, old emails came up, and John Gruden, who's out there calling Roger Goodell a pussy, God bless him, he's in the crosshairs. So he got all that was exposed, and it's tough to come back from that. At least, I can see Mike. I can see his points on defending him. Tough to see John Gruden make it out of a situation like that. So I'm sure he got off on, I'm sure he made his money, when he resigned, but I'm sure he's going to get paid out a lot because I would assume if he didn't, he could sue for a lot of money with those emails getting out and everything, but I don't know, maybe I'm wrong there. So yeah, those are two kind of black and white issues that came up on today's show. We didn't end up, I got the number for the main mini golf tour because I know Kirk is definitely planning a run at the title next summer, but we'll talk to them, I'm sure, at some point as Kirk kind of builds that back up. I saw it come across the screen. Trenny engaged. It was not the picture. It looked like she got engaged at the Boston Marathon. Turns out it was a beautiful, beautiful moment between her and her now fiance. I believe, why is it blanking on me? Is it Steve? What's his name? I can't remember I forget his name, but either way, she's engaged. I don't even remember if this is now like 3 months ago. We did an episode when Trenny was on Love Letters with Meredith Goldstein from the Boston Globe, which was the Boston Famous episode and the Pause episode, which to me was insanely funny. So we kind of rehashed that a little bit and just all the struggles that Trenny goes through being Boston famous, being a Boston television personality. I can't imagine just walking down the street. It must be very difficult for her. So besides that, that's pretty much it. Tomorrow we're back. Obviously, it's a different schedule this week. Actually, is it the same schedule as last week? Did we do Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday last week, I think? So yeah, we're doing Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday this week. So we'll be back tomorrow with Mike in studio, Chris in studio on Friday. I think the podcast is going to be a little bit delayed today because we're a little late start. Kirk was librarian for the day, which we find out today is his kind of predictable. I know I asked it and made it, when I brought it up, I acted like that wasn't predictable. I could totally see that being something that Kirk would want to do. But if he couldn't do radio and make the same amount of money, he'd be a librarian. Kind of makes sense. So, so he was spending time at his kid's school, donating his time in the library, putting books back and stuff, which is just a funny visual to think about for a second. So we'll be back tomorrow. I try to think if we missed anything or if anything else. I guess the behind the scenes stuff was Justin. And obviously, like I keep saying, we wish him the best. It was weird. It was weird walking by that studio with the backdrop of the EEI, with not the backdrop of EEI, but the KMS backdrop, and thinking about him doing the EEI stuff a couple weeks ago. It's crazy. So I don't know, wish him the best. And I was already texting with somebody. Maybe there's a little opportunity for him. So I hope that works out. But either way, wishing Justin all the best. All right. Talk to you.